Namaste, good afternoon, everyone. So this has been a very special session, and Saurabh has been kind to take up this session. He requested us to deliver something better that chartered accountants in practice can do. And this was something that I was thinking about a week before, and at the same time I received a call from Saurabh. So I said I would like to, really speak, because even I'm personally thinking. So the thinking pattern has to match really, and then, that was one of the reasons that I thought, okay, this would be a good idea to moderate the session, and this can benefit to a lot of people, to all of us, and we can see how we can, do better, more better, or escalate our career from here. All right. So I would first of all welcome everyone, each and every panelist. So we have all specialized people over here, and on the dais first I would like to speak to Snehal Bhai. So Snehal Bhai, as you can see that the demand, the CA, once you qualify CA, okay, you have a lot of options to start. And one of the major option that we are seeing is IBC, okay. So what does IBC actually work? How does it work? एक conceptually framework है ना, एक layman language में to understand how things works upon, and there is a concept of virtual CFO which we just studied in the previous session. So is that a myth that IP has to perform only like a virtual CFO? Then there has been some cases which I heard that once an IP is appointed into company, he takes over the business of the company, and at the same time he's sometimes running the company, making it more better. That's what I heard in one of the listed company, that this case must have happened, that IP took over and then he transformed that loss-making company into profit-making company, and then he sold at a better valuation, and there was a good recovery which has happened for the financial lender. So such cases also happen. So exactly what is the role of IP, or how does this framework work under IBC?
So IBC basically is a profession, full-time work. So a practicing chartered accountant thinking to become a IP and practice parallelly as a IP insolvency professional is a very challenging thing. It's a full-time thing. Yes. How it is interesting, if you dream to become a head of a company, a managing director of a company like Reliance, probably you can only dream it but not make it there. But in IBC, if you are IP, and if Anil Ambani's company go into insolvency, there is an opportunity to turn around that company and take that topmost position. The profitability part about, look, IP's role is more about a CFO role, but it is not only CFO role. He takes a charge of the company, board is suspended of that company, and all the work that board does, CFO does, he alone is doing it. So he needs to have a team also to help him to execute the things. It is like running an industry at your end, and the industry which is ailing, which is sick. So there are challenges, but the role is very clearly defined. If you follow the path very clearly, you may be able to resolve, but resolve is not the ultimate goal of IBC. IBC says that you either resolve a company or bring that economic asset which are stuck in that company back to the economy. So that's by way of liquidation. You sell the asset, someone takes over that asset, and you continue. So opportunities in IBC as a chartered accountant, I would say, is immense. As a IP, yes, if you are already a IP and you want to take that load, as an advisor to IP, as an advisor to bankers, the lenders, as an advisor to the one who wants to take over. So there is a merger opportunity. It's a sell side. IBC is a sell side. And you have a ready data of the sell side, but your capability to do due diligence and help the buyer to buy these sell-side companies which are available under IBC is a huge area of opportunities for a chartered accountants to look into. As a CFO, in the previous session, I happened to be sitting for some time, and I heard the previous speaker. Here, the role that he spoke about resembles to the IPC, what IP also does, and what is expected of IP. He has to report to all the stakeholders. It is not only the lenders, but all the stakeholders. He walks on a very tight rope with everyone looking at him, expecting him to do some miracle. Miracles can be only possible sometimes, not every time. So there are companies which turn around. The company you stated probably was SR, where everyone was following that company. During the CRP period, profitability came. I will just give one small incident before I push the thing. When I started as IP into practice, it was dominated by big fours. The large accounts, big fours were only the choice of the bankers. And to penetrate that, there was always a challenge for an individual to get that work. So it happened that with one of the PSU bank, where I had pitched for one of the assignment, and they were saying, Snehal, you qualify for everything, but how do we guarantee that you will be able to turn around? So we discussed one matter, one pharma company, which was in IBC, and one of the big four had showcased them that this is how they have turned around that. So I said, you don't tell me the strategy they did. Just tell me what was the case scenario. The case scenario was shared by the PSU banker. I said, I only require 4 people team to change the thing and bring this company back to profit, whereas it is showing cash losses. So he said, okay, the same thing had happened with the big four. They also have deployed 4. I said, I don't know what they did, but there's 4 people. So I explained him the 4 people, one in purchase, one in stores, one as a CFO. And I said, okay. So he said, yes, they also have done the same thing. I said, there is nothing miracle that they have done. What they have done is what we implement as a chartered accountant on daily basis. They just surveyed the things. They understood that there is a leakage in the internal control system, and they plugged that internal control system leakages. So what was that leakaging which was going out of the system, not coming in the books? As soon as it was plugged, it came in the books. As soon as it came in the books, the company turned around. The profitability started showing in the company. So as a chartered accountant, we are equipped with all this bandwidth. And to help IPs are not only chartered accountants. Chartered accountant, CES, cost accountant, MBA with 15 years of experience, industry experience, and an advocate. All are eligible. So when you are competing with this other category of people, especially a management graduate who has become IP, especially a lawyer who has become an IP, there are a lot of things you will feel that you, as a chartered accountant, you have edge over them. You will also understand that when you are working on these transactions, that these people will require a chartered accountant to assist them. So to cut short on this discussion, there is a huge opportunities that lies in M&A and advisory in IBC, apart from becoming an IP also.
That's amazing, fantastic. Thank you. So over to you, Harsh. As a small mid-sized firm, when the date 1st April comes, for our clients, we file GST return. We file LUT in GST return. The LUT, reason for filing LUT is that the exports of service, whatever service we give, is exempted from tax. Okay. So in our firm also we file it with the intention that during the year we should certainly get some euros or dollars or pounds, something. Okay. So this activity of outsourcing is something which is we're keen to know about it. How does this work? Especially, post-COVID scenario, this video conferencing has become quite a habitual way of working. And with work from home or work from anywhere or workstation, etc., coming into picture, there's a lot of opportunities for Indians or chartered accountants in India who can give services to outside country. So how does this mechanism of outsourcing works? Can you just throw some lights so it helps us to understand?
Yeah, thank you, Nishant. So let me kind of first paint a picture. Over the last 5-6 years, and particularly post-COVID, the whole outsourcing landscape has dramatically evolved. So, and let's be real, I think the big arbitrage in outsourcing in terms of charge out rates is basically with the US and the UK predominantly. There is a fair bit of outsourcing from UAE, Saudi Arabia, but the arbitrage is not too much. So, because there is a lot of compete, so there is not too much arbitrage there. So now the major players in India who are doing outsourcing is basically to the US and the UK. Obviously because of English speaking countries, otherwise the European market is also fairly big. Now, just to understand a bit about the US and the UK landscape, right? So then there is outsourcing to direct companies there, and second is outsourcing to the CA firms there, and in the US it's CPA firms. So what's also happened over the last 5 years is the large firms there, I mean, when I say large, I mean maybe the top 50 firms, top 75 firms in those countries, they have created their own global capability centers. So they have their own basically 100%, or sometimes it's a JV with another Indian firm, but it's usually 100% subsidiary, which is in India. And Philippines is also another market which is fairly used other than India. India is still by far the largest global capability center market. So they set up their own GCCs, and obviously there is a good opportunity for working chartered accountants to work there. And off late we are seeing that a lot of these global capability centers are just not cost centers. I think they are slowly becoming control towers to kind of define and lead a lot of digital transformation work and a lot of analytics work, which was not there before. Before it was mostly low cost kind of work. Now, if we keep those global capability centers out, for a practicing chartered accountant, where is the opportunity? I think the opportunity is in mid-tier to small tier CA firms in the US and the UK. I think that's a big opportunity. Today, that market is fragmented in terms of Indian CA firms, or even not CA firms. They are mostly BPO services firms who are catering to that market. And that's something which is a very interesting market. Also, the firms there are looking at Indian CA firms as setting up a separate unit, and that's where it comes in, right? I mean, how committed are you to kind of provide these services? When you want to provide these services, you need to invest in the right people. So you and your team need to have the relevant degrees, but I think degree is important to some extent. Degree, I mean, when I say it could be just an Indian CA degree, but it could also be US CPA degree. It could be knowledge about filing US tax returns, filing UK tax returns, filing audit support. So there are many outsourcing, I would say, practices. I think it's about determining what is your niche, focusing on that, because I think the credibility only comes when you have an authority in a particular segment. And that's when you will have the capability to go out and market that and be able to win that kind of work from the US or the UK firms. So, one is global capability centers. India today has 50% of the global capability centers in the world. You would be surprised to know that, let's say, Big Fours, right? Let me give you an example of EY. EY has close to 100,000 people in India. Out of that, the reports say that their global capability center, which is basically EY Global Capability Center, which doesn't do anything for India. It just provides services to global EY firms, is 65,000 people. So it's a huge market. Yes, many of us probably don't have a global network who we can immediately cater to. But at the same time, there are tons of mid-size firms available, CA firms available in the US and the UK who today want to outsource. Some of them are already doing it, some of them are not doing it. There was a report I read recently where they said that in the UK, 80% of mid-size CA firms want to outsource or are outsourcing. So because it's a clear at least a 3 times to 4 times minimum price arbitrage for them. And it's not only about price with a lot of those firms. It's also about availability. So there is good staff. I think the previous speaker also spoke about the fact that in the US, you are seeing very few people becoming CPAs. So there is an availability issue. It's not only about price. So I think that's where India has a huge role to play, much more outsized than the Philippines. There is Philippines, there is South Africa, there are some Eastern European countries also who are providing these services, outsourcing services. But I think they are dwarfed by the size of the Indian population, skilled population who's available to kind of provide these services, and also the fact that we need to also upskill on that. I mean, what kind of services we can provide? One is the traditional type of services such as bookkeeping, tax, payroll, which is already being provided, but also kind of upskilling into other services. For example, we are doing some transaction advisory outsourcing, right? So due diligence outsourcing, deal origination outsourcing. So there is a finance transformation outsourcing. So how do you kind of get into services which are newer areas where there are not already many incumbents sitting doing that? So that's probably what I would say. Thank you.
Thanks. You have, I think, solved all my queries that which all countries are covered, and at the same time, what kind of services we can give. So that was quite helpful. Thank you. So over to you, Ankush. So there has been cases. So what I believe is you have been practicing to BFSI sector, and that is a very, very huge area, BFSI. Okay, it was traditionally once upon a time just a bank, and then it started with NBFCs, and then after NBFCs, it's not stopping. There is innovations happening in this sector. There are fintechs companies who are coming forward. And now if you go to bank, you just find 3 or 4 people sitting over there, right? So there is a major transformation happening in BFSI sector. So with this digital era, and also as a CA, we've been learning a lot of other avenues, like there are some forensic related courses, there are some fraud investigation type of courses. So how can, as a mid-sized CA firm, or if we are into practice, how can we play a role in BFSI sector?
Thanks, Nishant. So obviously BFSI is a huge sector. There are banks, then there are NBFCs, then there is insurance, then of course the fintechs which are coming up. And within insurance, there are broking companies and so on, henceforth. So NBFC, it's a very huge area which I think coming up chartered accountant, maybe new, or maybe those who have not touched an NBFC, they can go into it. So at present, you see there are, as per December 24, there are 9,300 approximately NBFCs in India, of which, because now RBI has layered them, so of which only 50 are upper layer, which we can say we can leave it for the big fours or maybe the top 20 firms of India. Then there are 500 middle layer NBFCs. We leave it for the rest 80. Then also the remaining 8,600, 700 NBFCs, which can be catered and required to be delivered by other CA firms. Now over there, you see there are lots of opportunity. Now as per RBI, a CA firm can only do 8 NBFCs in total, whatever layer they are. Maybe upper layer, middle or lower layer, they can only do 8 NBFCs in total, including the networking firms also. So there also they have put the restriction. Now, there are lots of new opportunities within this lower layer NBFCs as well. Now, lower layer NBFCs, they are also mandated by the Companies Act, including the Reserve Bank of India guidelines while preparation. So these lower layer NBFCs are yet to migrate into the Ind AS. And right, so there is a gap which we when doing the consultancy work for various NBFCs. So there is a gap which we see the knowledge or the requirement for this Ind AS implementation is mostly taken by the top 20 or top 50 firms, because the other firms will not be able to cater it. But it is, believe me, it is nothing which we cannot do as a CA firm or a mid-sized firm or a lower mid-sized firm, which a Big Four or any top 20 or top 50 firm is able to deliver. We are doing the Ind AS certification, the ICI is doing it, and it can be easily done. So other than the Ind AS implementation, which obviously this lower level NBFCs, 90% are still those where the Ind AS is still not applicable, because most of them, their net worth is less than 250 crores. So there is a huge opportunity over there. Then there are other avenues which the Reserve Bank is opening on a day-to-day basis. Like one of them is the ICAP validation. Now, all the NBFCs having an asset size of 1,000 crore and above are required to do an ICAP validation. So this ICAP is an internal capital adequacy assessment procedure, which again, the only top 20 firms are doing. I'm not going to top 50 firms because they've been doing it for banks. So there is an opportunity over there also. It's a normal Basel III related circular which needs to be implemented, and the opportunities are paramount over there. These are for NBFCs, but again, insurance, the IRDA came up with regulations last year only, similar to Reserve Bank of India, where they have restricted the number of audits which a single firm can do, and for the number of years, including the cooling period. Those things have also come up. So again, people think that insurance is a restricted area, but the Ind AS 117, which the IRDA is under implementation, the MC had notified it, but it is still under implementation stage. There is also huge opportunity with when we coupled with the actuaries can actually help the insurance companies in implementing those. So lots of opportunity. Within banking sector also, you can go into specialized sectors. There is inter-office concurrent audit. We are only focused on the bank branch audits. We can go into the special areas, the centralized processing centers of even the PSU banks, the retail processing or the domestic trade finance or international trade finance, the IBGs, or those related areas which you are actually doing at the branch levels, but at the central level, you just need to implement more team, the same level of work can be done over there. So there are huge opportunities in BFSI, which all my CA members and can come into. So.
No, thank you so much. I think it's one of the biggest area also. Plus the good part is we are in all Mumbai, and Mumbai being the financial capital also. So we still are, quite close with this big opportunity. To taking the opportunity in the right direction, I think is very important. And as a mid-sized firm or smaller mid-sized firm, what happens is we are normally catering to B2C clients. Normally a customer coming to file his returns or some kind of audit services may not be just sufficient services. But when you escalate to B2B level at this larger level, then probably it's time where you're escalating your practices, right? Thank you so much. So I'll move it to over you, sir. So the part today is, it was an era of startup about 3-4 years back, okay, where many people were trying to understand what is startup, how to invest in startup, where to go. And over a period of time, we heard in newspaper, startup winter has come and the funding has become low. And at the same time, we heard that IPO preparedness is happening to a great level. It has become a hot market. There has been always an inquiry with CA, do you know anyone who does pre-IPO? So for investment opportunities, surely we know that IPO is like one area, pre-IPO, where you can try with your connects and get someone invest into the company. But importantly, this is from an investment angle, but from a practice angle, what we want to understand from you is, Mohit, that there has been cases that many company also approaches to chartered accountant, and because IPO market is very hot, they're saying that we want to come into the IPO space, say 3 to 4 years down the line. So please help us to be a capital readiness person, okay? But there's also myth which comes with it, that first of all, they ask us, do you know any merchant banker? Well, what happened? Bole, merchant banker is the one whom we should approach for IPO. So I said even CA can do it. So can you clarify this myth also, whether can CA actually work and at what level to make a company IPO preparedness, and what are your thoughts on it?
Sure. Thank you, Nishant. Hi. Evening, everyone. I'll take a step back. Before I answer your question, I started my career in a merchant banking setups, spent around 8 years doing various jobs at various merchant bankers. This question was always on my mind. The problem that we used to face as a merchant banker at that point of time, IPO as a process is a very kind of a long journey, inherently cumbersome process where the companies have to manage their routine operations at the same time prepare for an IPO, right? In this process, of course, you need help of chartered accountants, you need help of company secretaries and other intermediaries. As a merchant banker, the problem that we used to face was to find chartered accountants who has knowledge on IPOs. And it was a very, very difficult task. As a merchant banker, our role used to be easier if I don't have to educate the chartered accountant on the role about the IPO, because then I can do multiple deals together rather than educating that chartered accountant. So I asked that question myself, is this an opportunity, I see for myself, okay? I'm a chartered accountant, an educated one on the IPOs. Can we fill up this space? This was somewhere back in 2018. I still did my job for another 2 years and then decided to let it go. So because there is a clearly a very big gap. To answer your question, till about 2 years back, yes, people were only approaching merchant bankers, but you see IPOs nowadays, you see LinkedIn nowadays, how many IPOs you see a role of an advisor to the issue. And there are a lot of chartered accountants you will see advisor to the issue, because people like us who are chartered accountants are filling up that role, okay? And now why it is easier for us, okay? We see a lot of, and I'm talking about small companies, I'm not going where, I'm not talking about a 5,000 or a 10,000 crore market cap company. A CA is a first person any promoter approaches. We used to fill up a role even for a compliance professional. People are now taking up the compliance officer or CS on day one. Probably 5 years, 10 years back, लोगों ने एक CA appoint कर लिया, he will take care of the all compliances, all financial side. Now, that's still changing, but it's the chartered accountant who people or the promoter used to ask that question. Unfortunately, we as chartered accountant, by the way, IPO, ICTR, which are the governing regulations for IPOs, are part of our allied law CA course, but like me, most of us probably ignores it. As a chartered accountant, we have now started taking that role bit seriously. Promoters asking question and we delivering. About 4 years back, we were just going to a merchant banker, right? That's not happening anymore. And we are best placed, to be honest, okay? As chartered accountants, we know finances very well, no secret. We understand compliances. Our course allows us to do that. We are the perfect bridge between a company doing an IPO and the other intermediaries. It could be the merchant bankers, it could be the lawyer or any other intermediaries that we want to appoint. We can help the companies on their fundraising. We understand valuations. We understand businesses. I don't think anybody, any other profession understand businesses, because we do audits. We don't do audits without understanding the core nature of the business, right? So we understand businesses. We understand all part of it, what it takes to be a successful IPO, be it the positioning of the company, we understand. So yeah, it's complete myth. You don't need to go to a merchant banker. Rather, we should be that person that a company approaches first, and we don't let go of that opportunity. Because, and that's, that's only on the IPO advisory side. The other side is the CA practice. And probably, while Harsh spoke about on the specialization part, or Snehal spoke about, you cannot be in an active practice as well as an IP full-time together. Probably an IP advisory or the certification side comes very close to the traditional CA practice, but at the same time elevating your practice where you earn a better buck as well as utilize your time better, and it opens another whole lot of opportunity for you in terms of fundraising, M&A or valuations, etc. Yeah.
Thank you. I think this was quite helpful. A lot of services that CA can give in the journey of company becoming an towards IPO, making it capital readiness entity. So thank you so much for that. Moving ahead, yeah.
Sorry, Nishant, I'll add a line here. On MCA, there are today probably around 15 lakhs active companies registered. Okay, the listed companies in India today are 5,000 odd on main boards and 1,000 odd on SME boards. So the opportunities, I'm not talking about the proprietorship firms or partnership firms which are getting converted and doing IPOs. The best SME merchant banker on the street in last 15 years of SME has only done 130 IPOs. So the opportunity here is really, really immense.
That's again a very, very big opportunity, certainly. The statistics actually really help us to, look into the things deeply, that actually the opportunity exists into this ecosystem. But what common I find among each and everything is that we have to work with multi-professional people to make it a successful job over here. So coming to the next round of questions, so before I ask any of you the question first, I would like to ask one question to the audience, that how many of you are actually ready to give again CA exams? Sir, अगर पास नहीं हुए ना आप, एक exception है. But Snehal bhai, this question is actually to you, not about giving the CA exam, but how tough is IBC exam? Is it equally tough like CA? Again, we have to give so many hours to study, and there's a criteria. What we understand is 10 years is actually required to complete in your practice in CA, and then you're eligible to give such exams. So the question is, is it equally tough? How much you need to prepare? And at the same time, there are newly freshly chartered accountants also who want to start career immediately with IBC. Can they do it? At the same time, the ecosystem is big. Again, you have to work with multiple people into the system. So you already mentioned that it's not, it's a job of multiple people to be part of this. But I'm sure it cannot be one-man army, but still want to hear out from you. Can it also be one-man army type thing?
So first point that you say that freshers, can they become IP? So there is a graduate insolvency program which he or she needs to join. So if you are a chartered accountant and 10 years of is not completed, then you cannot go to limited insolvency examination. So there is the process is that you need to appear for limited insolvency exam first. Then after clearing that exam, where passing is 50% again, 60 marks is required there to pass. And you have a negative marking. So it's a 2 hours exam with negative marking. The challenge that we find, because most of them appearing for LI are the chartered accountants who have studied for examination purpose long back, maybe 2 decades before. So 2 decades before, the study line was read the book, write the essay type answers. And here, out of 4 options, you have to opt for 1 correct option. You get 2 MCQ based. 2 options will be almost correct, but which is the best option you have to identify. So challenge lies in that thing. It is not, challenge does not lie in reading or understanding the IBC or going to the act. The challenge lies in appearing for MCQ based exam. So that is the big one challenge. Second, once you are aware of all the things, because most of the things we have covered in our CA syllabus except IBC. So present IPs, present chartered accountants, already IBC they are also covering in their studies. Even in the graduation, the IBC has now entered. So if you are a fresh chartered accountant, you don't have 10 years of membership, it's not practicing 10 years, it is you should be a member of a chartered accountant institute for 10 years. So if you have been in industry for 10 years and you appear for this limited insolvency exam, LI exam what we say, and you clear, post clearing, you need to go for a 50 hours training. Like what we have GMCS, compulsory, here 50 hours training is compulsory. Post 50 hours training, you become eligible to practice. So then you apply for your AFA, which is our COP for the IPs, and you practice. Same way as second parallel line for the freshers. You have cleared your CA, you feel that this stress asset is the area, domain area where you want to specialize in, and you don't want to wait for 10 years to become IP. That there is a graduation insolvency program carried out by ICA. So it's under a Ministry of Company Affairs. There is a ICA, and ICA organizes this course. So there you have to enroll yourself, 2 years residential course it is there, and you appear, and you clear that exam, and you are eligible to act as a IP, par with the other IPs who have cleared LI, that is limited insolvency exam. Now coming to the prospective on the both the side for studies. For a fresher who graduate insolvency program, it's a 2 years residential course. So that 2 years residential course help them to get that experience which the 10 years plus chartered accountant has. So during that 2 years course, the experienced faculties in this field who are turnaround specialists and all, they guide them with the case studies. Whereas the LI participant, 2 decades of practice, 2 decades of industry, and then becoming an IP, he has learned through his own experience. So that experience will help him to clear, take the charge of the course of actions when he becomes the IP.
And a follow-up question on that. So once someone becomes IP and someone is really interested to start the career into this, whom should he approach first and how he should start in a very simple way?
So before giving you this, I will give you a little statistics on the IP. 2017, IBC came into play. As of now, there are 4,000 IPs registered who have cleared the exam. So Pan India, 4,000 only IPs. Out of this 4,000, if you drill down, there are only 2,000 who have taken their AFA, that is COP. So other 2,000 who have not taken COP have just cleared the exam, and they wanted to add alphabets to their card. So because apart from it, that doesn't seem anything, or else they want to go into advisory practice and market themselves as IP and do it. But they don't practice as IP. So out of this 2,000, 1,200 are the IPs who have effectively worked on the transaction. Still you drill down, out of this 750 will be IPs who are actively working on the transaction. So 1,200 who took one transaction, tasted the waters, felt that, oh, this is not my cup of tea, I should be doing something other. And they are 1,200. 750 are the people who are actively, as of now, working on a single transaction. Still drill down the number, it is 500 who are actively working on more than one transaction. So if you see in Pan India, the number of IPs who are active is this 500. This becomes the heart of this IBC economy. And what happens, someone joins the IBC, tests the water, someone who has already tested the water leaves. But the economy of IPs, over a period, has got the boundaries done now. So 500 to 600 IPs actively working in this segment is the area. Now, what calls for you to become an IP, if you want to become an IP? The fire to perform, the fire to take the challenges of a ailing company and rediscover the things that in that company and bring back to the economy. The fire in you to break down the routine things. You don't want, because here in a SIP, you have a day-to-day challenges. You will find something which you have not even envisaged when you took the assignment. And you will have to handle that critical part of it at that point of time. So that case is where if you have that fire, the IP is the area of practice which you should enter into. To test the waters, if you feel, you can do the advisory part of it with some IPs, get associated with some IPs and do it. And of late, I have been hearing in a lot of my sessions query that IBC में अभी काम ज़्यादा रहा नहीं है. So till the time there is a financial discipline embedded in the corporate system, this work is there. This is more or less a stress asset. IBC is to be seen as a stress asset segment. And you view it from that angle. As a IP, how do you deliver in clearing that stress and bringing that company back is what your role is. So there, as a chartered accountant, if you want to test the waters, do you want to do the IP? Anyone here, if I can ask, interested in doing IBC or becoming an IP? Anyone has thought of it? So the point that's why I gave you a scenario, 4,000, 2,000. So that no work is a myth. Okay. Another myth is that you need to work with someone. Since 2007, I have not formed any my IPE. I have a standalone basis working. IPs are associated with me. We work together. We hold hands together and we do the work together. But we don't form IPE. We have not formed IPE till date. So it's again another myth that IPE is required to do the work. The question that Nishant also raised, that one-man army, is it enough? So one-man army to get the work is enough. To execute the work, what type of assignment? If you are taking a dead assignment, one-man army will be enough. But if you want to run a company like SR, or if you want to, not even the size of SR, but if you want to take any manufacturing unit, running unit under your control, then probably a team of 3-4 people will be required, without which it will be very difficult for you to run the show. In my first round question, I told you about a pharma company where I showcased 4 people were enough to do that. So each case, there may be a case where single person can do the turnaround. There may be a cases where the turnaround will require more people team to do the work. And to get the work, sir, post this session, because you are the alone IP in the session. So I will take this off the thing, I will guide you on it, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
I have one question. If you are a CA partner, if you are a partner firm, so do you become an IP as an individual, or I know would the firm also be involved?
IP as an individual.
So how do you kind of reconcile the two, basically?
So like for I will give you my straight example.
Yeah.
Snehal Kamdar is a IP.
Correct.
I raise an invoice for my insolvency work in the name of Snehal Kamdar only.
Okay.
Okay. My firm name is Jain Jagawat Kamdar and Company,
Yeah.
where I'm a partner. I hold a COP also. So one more question I will answer before any COP, holding of full-time COP as a chartered.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis full-time, I am holding a AFA, that is a practice certificate as a IP is allowed. There is a direction of ICI on that lines also. And billing will be done for my work in my name. Company, if firm is giving me some support service, that support service billing I get.
Then
it
tell
done
me
from
one
my
thing, isn't there a
firms.
conflict of interest in the sense that supposing like you, for example, in your case also, you're partner in the CA firm as well, right? So your role in the CA firm is X, and you're
That's a
using your
partnership
time.
issue, sir. Partnership in my firm, we have defined our roles.
Since
Since 2017, I started my IP practice. Till now, I have not generated a single UDI. I don't sign. I don't do certification work. So in our firm, we have defined our roles.
Okay.
And as far as revenue sharing, also the system is defined.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
So it's very practically answered. Thank you.
Sir, is there any statistics? How many cases are on board for this item? As on today?
On an average, 3,000 cases plus, sir, more than 3,000 cases are in pipeline. Okay. Actively cases you are saying, then it will be more than, I think, 25 to 30,000 active. So that you will get, if you want to actually check it, that you will get on IBBI ibbi.gov.in. You will get all the statistics. There they give a monthly, quarterly reports. How many cases admitted, how many cases sorted out, what are the cases pending, everything will be there. 3,500 is the cases in pipeline where the applications are pending with NCLT to be admitted.
And this has been addressed only by 500 active. So there's, of course, a massive opportunity in this, massive. Okay, so thank you, Snehal. Harsh, over to you. When we speak about outsourcing, okay, like I think essentially what I understood from the first round of discussion is that it is better to have a tie-up with a foreign entity, and even institute has come out with this kind of circular where you can have a tie-up with them to make it MNC. But at the same time, you think there is a need of any additional degrees? Normally in India, we have LLB, CS, which are more towards Indian laws, okay, but at the same time, there are certain international degrees like CFA, CPA, and FRM, etc. So these kind of degrees really put a value to it, and how do you think what or more things as a CS in practice should study to get into these kind of outsourcing job?
So I would say that, you know, degrees definitely open doors and build trust, but experience builds authority, right? So yes, I would say that other than the chartered accountancy degree, depending on what you want to kind of focus in. For example, if you want to focus on finance transformation, if you want to focus on mergers and acquisitions, transaction advisory work, yes, then a CFA degree would go a long way to help you understand that, valuations for that matter, right? If you want to focus on US tax, US audit, you know, individual return filing there, corporate tax return filing there, then a CPA degree would definitely go a long way. If you want to focus on you know, the UK side of things, where and particularly on the audit side of things, the ACCA degree would help. There is also a IFRS diploma course which would help. So I think it depends on what you want to do. I would also, you know, urge people here to understand that I think degree is important, but I don't think that should be the main focus. I think the CA degree actually is more than enough. It's about you practicing in that area, decide that specialization, work with people who have already done well in that area, whether it is you know, through a JV model or working in that organization. But I think working practical experience in outsourcing builds a lot of credibility, because what's also happened is that a lot of global firms have also had bad experiences, right? So it's also important that that's why they are very careful about giving anyone work, and especially you know, chartered accountants who are starting off with this practice. So I think that's, I think degree will definitely help you, any of these degrees, but I think depends on the domain experience you have or you want to kind of build.
Right, thank you. So Ankush, over to you. At the same time, when we speak BFSI sector as a very, very large sector, like there are certain exams from NISM and also fraud analytics or sometimes treasury management, all these things also comes into play. These kinds of courses are available. So you think for preparedness to go into these kind of segment, do we really need to focus in these areas, or how do you see it?
So again, there are some specific areas, maybe when you are doing a depository participant audit or a mutual fund audit, you would require an ISM certification. That is just the regulatory requirement. Like Harsh rightly said, CA degrees is more than enough. You need to get practical experiences. So like I always say to my articles or my team who are working, you पहले काम करना आना चाहिए, फिर काम कराना आना चाहिए, फिर उसके बाद काम लाना है. तो practice is all about these three things. So काम करना वो practical experience से आएगा. काम कराना आपको वो भी बहुत important है. ऐसा नहीं होता आपको करना आता सब चीज़ आप नहीं कर सकते. You have to scale up, right? So you have to know how you can get the work done from all your staff. And then you got to know also काम लाना, how you can build relation from your knowledge and the expertise which you have gone through your work, you can get the work as well. But in BFSI industry, the work which I think the India's people have within the course. Like when I passed, India's wasn't there. There was certification through which we gained knowledge. But I see the gap within the India's implementation. There are works like which in an NBFC we get, it's only ECL model validation. Simple as that. But I don't need a degree for that. I just need an India's 109 expertise. I can just see their policy and whatever they have, assumptions they have used, I can do. So practical experience is what helps better. They can, as Harsh also said again, that you can do collective works and maybe other CA firms who are doing, they can come to learn. Sometimes they, CA firms very hesitantly ask our known CA firms also how you are going. They will never call because they feel it as a competition. But whenever I am getting into some work, if I know that this particular CA firm, I will find someone common I know there and I'll approach them. You can approach, I'm sure none of our CA members will ever say no. कि भाई मैं तेरे को क्यों सिखाऊं, मेरा धंधा ले जा रहा. This will never happen. I'm sure. Because ऐसा नहीं है, एक कंपनी नहीं है, मैंने जैसे बोला बहुत अपॉर्चुनिटी है. So degree is essential only when it is required by the regulator. DISA certification required है, CISA required है, or if it's only required by the regulator. Otherwise, pure simple knowledge, that is more than enough.
Great. I just recollect the accounting standard which says substance over forms, which clearly states that practical thing is more important than theory, and that's what is getting applied over here. So over to you, Mohit. Like SEBI, as we speak IPO, the SEBI and stock exchanges come into mind, and SEBI to एकदम डंडा लेके बैठा रहता है, is that kind of law is what we understand. Directly when I was studying CA that time, we used to really, just keep reading. Are you sure insider trading has 25 crores of penalty? And this is something we used to really read. So since that, there's a fear for SEBI in our mind. But of course, as and when you keep working, you understand the law better, you are able to interpret it better. But then again, do you think, of course, CA have the capability to do a lot of things, but from certification point of view, do you think any specific degrees required for IPO or to have in anything to merchant banking?
Not really. I mean, there is no as such requirement to have any specific degree. For a merchant banker, there are some specific NISM certifications that you need. But to practice within IPO advisory field, the only thing probably you must have, which is within the institute, is a peer review certificate. Okay, probably that's the most important, because most of the time regulators have any listed company needs an auditor who is peer reviewed. Of course, LODR requires it. Peer review certificate, sir. Peer reviewed certificate. Yeah, and LODR requires a peer reviewed CA only can do the listed company audits. Similarly, on IPO side, also SEBI and exchanges have pushed that any kind of certification that you are getting from a chartered accountant, those chartered accountants should also be a peer reviewed certificates. That's the answer on the degree part. Other than that, you don't need. I think, and I agree with what Harsh and Ankush Bhai said, what is more important is having the practical knowledge of the subject that you want to deliver. On the IPO side, one thing is very, other than the regular assurance and audit is, while this practice comes very close to your audit assurance practice, the thing is, there are funds involved. If you're working on 1,000 crore IPO or 100 crore IPO for a small company, those funds are really, really important. So your ability to deliver precisely, not doing something which could jeopardize the whole process is very important. So you need to be very sure of what you are doing. I keep saying to my team, mistakes are okay, blunders are not. Okay, very important, because it's a very regulated field as well. And you said about the fear to SEBI exchanges. They have become really, really tight over the course of last year. But I see that only as an opportunity to the chartered accountants. The more difficult the exchanges or regulators become, it's only an opportunity for a professional to actually value. The value only gets increased on that. The other good part about this practice, as I said, on the main boards there are only 5,000 companies, on SMEs there are only 1,200 companies. Even for smaller firms like us, okay, we are a 15 people team, okay, and we compete with people like 200 people team, okay. There is enough work for the whole segment. There are IPOs happening on the size of 10 crores IPO, and there are IPOs happening to a 5,000 crore IPO. So enough amount of work for everyone to get involved. And as I said, repetitively, it's closest to your audit and assurance practice, so the easiest move on.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think we will need to stop our discussion over here. We are available for you offline over here with whomever you want to discuss about your making your career into upskilling your career. We can take 2 questions from the audience. If anyone wants to ask anything, please. Yeah, yes, sir, please. I have a mic, please. Yeah.
Started. US, for example, is very transparent. You can actually, online you'll be able to find the listing of top 100, 200, 300 CA firms, their revenues. So unlike India, where it is very hard to figure out the ranking, udhar bahut easy hai. So you can online find out, there are a lot of firms who are national firms, there are a lot of firms who are state-specific firms. So it's not that hard to find out a list of firms. I think it's harder to show your capability to those firms, because you'll have to reach out to them and then show the capability to them that you will be able to deliver certain quality in the area which you choose to take up for outsourcing.
Okay, and supposing you were to give them accounting services, let's assume. So, which package does one use normally in the US?
So in the US, QuickBooks is fairly common. QuickBooks had come up in India, then they shut shop in India. So QuickBooks actually in India, there's not much support for QuickBooks. Zero is another, it's Zero with an X. That's another package which is used. And then there is, it's across. So depending on, the client requirement, there are a bunch of other products. But QuickBooks, like how we use Tally the most, QuickBooks is used the most prevalent in the US.
Thank you.
So to start with the outsourcing work, it's a prerequisite to form a legal entity in India and having a partner in US. So what I understand from one of my or 2 of my CPA firm in US, that we have to form a legal entity, maybe a private limited, and to do a ISO certification to get a more integrity with CPA firm or the potential client in US?
So I think I'll take this in 2 parts. One is when you say that you need someone in the US, it absolutely helps if you have someone in the US. Because there is a physical person there who can actually go and meet some of these clients, give them a lot more confidence than an online meeting would do. So if that is something which is something which you can work out, I think that would be a big edge which you will have. Two is, I think, about the entity. I don't think, I mean, see, most of CA firms are either partnership firms or LLPs. You don't need to have a CA firm to do outsourcing work. You can have a private limited company, or you can have any other legal structure to do outsourcing work. I don't think that is very important when clients in the US look at you. I think what they look more is about, what is the capability and the credibility you have and the experience you have, than the legal structure. So I think that's something which can be bolstered, and having a front face in the US would definitely help.
Sahil, one sec. I just wanted to make a point. Any of my friends from industry here working in FP&A or CFA roles, CFO roles? Okay. I'll share one career opportunity that I have seen over the last 12 years is something called IPO CFO, okay, or a IPO CS. A lot of people who have been CFO to the IPOs that we have worked, okay, have constantly moved jobs while completing one IPO. It's become such a specialized job that a CFO completes an IPO of a company, spend 2 years there from the readiness to the completion of IPO, leaves that job, join another company who's getting ready for an IPO. It's a very exciting opportunity, not just for CS, but also for CS, and really helps a lot of people from career growth perspective. Not only the CFOs, maybe finance controller roles where you work on IPOs, get the experience of the pressure environment and dealing with other intermediaries. The experience that you get there along with the routine work is really, really immense. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.